Old Ways is a special song for me. I felt like when I wrote it, I was pulling on threads from lots of different places, both from the past and from the present. A little bit from a conversation with a friend, a little bit from a story I had heard, and obviously lots from my own experience. But when it comes down to it, Old Ways is a song about shame and just how hard it is to kick the habits of things that have been ingrained in us over years or even decades. I wrote the song on a day during a week when my wife was out of town. And it's kind of weird how you don't realize how much a part of your routine somebody is until they're gone for a little bit. And so being kind of off my rhythm, that week really turned into a little bit of a mess. I felt like old habits were coming back, like binging video games and eating really poorly and sleeping really poorly. When I did sleep at all, it was just like those habits and things from childhood and adolescence just came crashing back in, even though they hadn't really been a problem for quite a while. And in the middle of that week, I started feeling pretty ashamed of how little self-control I had. And that was the spark of the song that got me searching. And so I just had to trace that experience of shame back through my life and then sprinkle in a little bit from other people's experiences as well. And so for me, shame has been a pretty regular companion throughout my life. It's something I'm decently well acquainted with. And, you know, sometimes shame can be right. Sometimes I do things wrong or I'm letting myself fall into a bad habit and shame is like the right response because I need to change. But what makes shame so hurtful sometimes is when it doesn't let up. It's when my bad habits show up again, even though I know they're there and I am trying to get better, but it just, it doesn't let up. It heaps the condemnation on you even after you've already condemned yourself, and it sneaks in through every little thing, whether it's a disapproving tone on the other end of the phone or just that little disappointed look that you get from a friend. And this is like, really? And that line of the song that says, I know you're disappointed, but right now I just need a friend. And that's a pretty tender place to be, because sometimes you are working on it and you already know, and I don't need a plan to fix it from somebody else. I just need somebody to listen and be there. And so where do you go from there? Habits are habits, and there's been pressures from society and my own failings that have just taught me to think only of myself and to be selfish. I've spent decades at this point learning how to be selfish. So how do you just turn that off in a matter of days or weeks or months, or sometimes years and decades aren't enough? And sometimes it's tempting to just give up, to throw in the towel and say, you know what, I'm just gonna decide to not feel bad about this anymore, and then it won't be a problem. But then, who would I be? Probably not somebody worth emulating. And so I have to keep fighting. We have to keep fighting. Even the smallest light shines in the dark, and so as long as there's even a little bit of a glow, we have to keep moving forward. Change is hard. For the deep things, it'll take years, maybe even decades. And we can't do it by ourselves, but there is hope. And so if I can share a couple of verses from one of my favorite books of the Bible, I'll end with this. Titus chapter 2, verses 11 through 14. For the grace of God has appeared that offers salvation to all people. It teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in this present age, while we wait for the blessed hope, the appearing of the glory of our great God and Savior, Jesus Christ, who gave himself for us to redeem us from all wickedness and to purify for himself a people that are his very own, eager to do what is good. And you see, my friend, there is hope that we can change. And it goes so far beyond just self-improvement. I hope these verses and this song are as encouraging to you as they are to me. Keep fighting.